Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about open standards, open source, and the differences between the two, and hopefully opening some minds to opportunities as well. Well, first of all, who are Memset? We've actually been around for quite a while, since 2002, so we've been kind of sitting in the pub in the corner quietly for quite a long time, drinking a pint, minding our own business. Obviously, in recent years, a lot of other people have come in. They've all been rather loud, rather brash at the bar, throwing a lot of marketing money around buying champagne. But we launched virtual servers back in 2002 on user mode Linux, which was obviously an open source virtualization platform back then. Since then, we've gone on to be about sort of 5 million turnover and about 35 staff currently. We've won a reasonable amount of awards, PC Pro Best Web Host Award for 7 years, and we were the first UK's carbon neutral host back in 2006. So we're privately owned, we're debt free, and we've been around for a long time in this market, so we're very mature. So what are open standards? Again, open standards and open source are very different things. A lot of people kind of lump them in together. Francis Maud waxes lyrical recently about the government avoiding getting locked in, vendor lock-in, but he also should consider things like platform lock-in as well, because vendor lock-in and platform lock-in are two different things. Open standards, really the best example is the internet, which I actually got this information from, ironically. The internet is an open standard itself, and open standards don't necessarily mean that it's free. They just mean it's standardized and open by its very philosophy and nature. Open source. So open source is different. Open source means that the code, the framework, the software is free to use, change, develop, and mold to your own business and to your own requirements. So it's very different. Obvious examples are Linux versus Windows as an operating system, and as a virtualization comparison, Zen open source versus choosing VMware as a virtualization hypervisor layer. So why is open source why is openness so important? Well, we've probably all heard this before, but avoiding vendor, but more importantly, platform lock-ins. So you may be locked into the same vendor, but believe me, being tied into the same platform is much worse than that. Being tied into a platform means that you can't necessarily be agile, you can't change the systems as requirements change over time, and you may end up with what people call these islands of systems and applications that don't necessarily talk to one another. At the end of the day, the applications that you have within your organization are only really, they're a window that your users and your customers are seeing to the actual data and the important stuff up the back. So, it's just really the way of showing that data and being able to view it. Also, not having any license costs enables you to save and use that money to get more skills in-house to help you to develop your systems according to business needs, rather than going out and buying commercial-based software and then trying to mold and change your business around what features are available with that. And obviously nowadays with internet, tablets, phones, everything like that, internet connection anywhere you go, data needs to be available, portable. It needs to run on all different platforms and all different phones. So obviously, open source is sometimes a lot better for developing for obscure platforms of phones and tablets. And also, before you enter into any agreement with a company, you always look at, crikey, things change. How am I going to get out of this? So look at your options. When you sign up with a cloud provider, be there a software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and I'll talk more about that later. Look at your exit strategy. How hard, if requirements change or budget changes, is it going to be for me to offboard that somewhere else? So don't just look at how easy is it for me to move it. Look at how easy it's going to be to get rid of it. Again, moving from, say, a commercial-based solution, a lot of commercial-based software providers try and make it try and make you think it's really hard to move away from their software solution. And they try and make you reliant on that. It's often not hard to move away from commercial-based software in terms of applications and platforms. There are a lot of free tools available, and there are a lot of migration providers out there, companies like Stonegate, who are doing an excellent job of migrating anything from on-premise to open source cloud solutions. Also, one of the main philosophies going back years of virtualizing was to actually save money. Maybe handing that money that you're saving over to somebody to pay for the virtualization licenses is kind of negating half of the reason for virtualization in the first place. Memset ourselves actually offer free tools to all of our customers to be able to move VMware-based or VHD-based Windows images to us, and we also offer those same tools for our customers to move away from us. In other words, to convert Xen open source virtual server images to VMware or VHD-based Windows images to move away either back on-premise or to another supplier. And you know, that's real choice and openness on our part. And obviously we've, you know, cost savings of up to 50%. Please take that with a pinch of salt. It's not going to be applicable in every case, but you're obviously going to make good savings if you're not paying for the virtualization layer of your cloud solution. And here we can see here's a quick screenshot from one of our customer accounts where you can see what this guy's doing here is he's taking a snapshot of a virtual server image, and it's offering him the option of exporting it as a VMDK, VMware image, or a VHD Windows image. So just kind of, again, slight summary. Benefits of open source and platforms, cost savings, flexibility. Memset, we have our own APIs available for both our Xen VMs for you to hook into our virtualization platforms so that you can spin up servers, take snapshots, shut servers down, things like that. And we also operate OpenStack, and I know OpenStack's been mentioned a few times today, but it's an excellent framework for developing cloud storage solutions that are open. The other thing I saw the other day, we used to use Sugar CRM as a CRM-based solution within Memset for a while, and then we moved to using Salesforce. But if you look at Sugar CRM as an open source CRM solution and you look at Salesforce, they're actually really, really similar in look and feel. Obviously, Sugar CRM is not running as a SaaS product, and if you look at using Sugar, then you've got to find a hosting provider and do a bit of development. But they do look really, really familiar to each other. And also going back to this customizable theme of, you know, if you look at something like gov.uk project, which has had a lot of good press recently, that was all done within Drupal, and the e-petitions website, which is a really good agile, light website, was all developed in Ruby on Rails. So it shows you what can be achieved very quickly with not a lot of cost with using open source. Some successful open source deployments that we've got running within our stack at the moment would be a few of those companies. Major, you may not have heard, that's Major Travel, their big holiday comparison site online, all quite complicated. They get live prices for flights and hotels and things like that. So procurement, this is more applicable to government organisations, but there is a big online shop now called the G Cloud. It's a non-pressurized environment. You can browse 800 suppliers with thousands of different products. The Cloud Store team can provide you with help and guidance should you need to, you know, show you how to kind of interface with suppliers. And they also offer standard calling off contracts should you want to deal with businesses such as cloud providers such as Memset as a public sector organisation. So some of you may have seen this kind of diagram before, but it's what we refer to as the AS stack, an unfortunate acronym. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. But you've got infrastructure as a service, platform and software. Memset, for all intensive purposes, covers infrastructure and platform. So we don't actually offer the software component, but we go up to everything to that and including that, and we'll manage that for you. So again, just kind of breaking that down a bit more. Memset are looking at doing the hardware, the virtualization, the connectivity, the security. in terms of intrusion detection, firewalls, antivirus scanning, things like that. And we also have full CSG, IL2 and IL3 accreditation for government and public sector, which actually shows you that open source is quite secure. CSG tended to actually say, well, it's fine, it's very secure, it was pen tested, and we got our IL3 accreditation on the full open source Zen virtualization environment. So open source is more about a kind of having a jigsaw puzzle mentality. So looking at your business requirements in terms of virtualization layer, software OS layer, application layer, database layer, and then going out and looking at technology that you can bolt together and bring together through, having good skills in-house, or maybe buying in those skills and bringing all that together according to a requirement, not what's available off the shelf. So a lot of people are kind of scared of open source. They still think it's kind of beards, sandals, skateboards, that kind of thing. But it's not. There are lots of skills out there. There's lots of choice. It does offer better value for money. Can't get better value for money than free. Again, the skills are available out there. The money that you save by not going down and buying big Leviathan software solutions can be used to get those skills in-house. Open source is kind of trendy and de rigueur, not just for logical reasons, for reasons of sense. And again, in terms of security, CESG have accredited our virtualization stack, which is all open source based, and our cloud, our OpenStack cloud storage solution to IL2 and IL3 levels. We're just looking at some of the technologies that Memset use to power our business, both at the front end and at the back end. So you've got Zen, which is the hypervisor layer. We've been using Zen for about 9 years now as a virtualization technology. OpenStack, which we deployed for our cloud storage. Linux operating systems, Django, which we use as a development framework on the back end. RT, Request Tracker. It's a very good ticketing system, which is open source, which we use for inquiries from customers, sales inquiries, billing inquiries, technical support inquiries, things like that. Track is a great open source project management tool. Postfix, you can run your mail on there. OSEC is what we use for our intrusion detection solution that we can offer customers. And Nagios is a great open source monitoring framework as well. We use a VoIP-based solution within our office, which is Asterix, and OpenFire. OpenFire is a great messenger service that we use internally, which is all encrypted so we can message one another, sometimes jokes, sometimes work-based. And so, in conclusion, I'd argue that open source gives no compromise on quality or reliability. It's been around for a long time, it's proven in the marketplace, and it's also secure. Maybe look at using the money that you're saving by not buying software on getting skills in-house so that you can mold your environments to your requirements, not vice versa. Try not to get locked into one vendor or one platform because they can move the goalposts. You may become over-reliant on them as a business. And then also, and I can't stress this enough, when looking at any supplier, cloud-based or otherwise, look at how easy is it going to be for me to move away, if I'm not happy the solution doesn't work or I want to move all this back on premise. That's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I think I got through that quite quickly.